Jeff Epson. I'm now back with the dangerous cohort, my elite group here. This is my 10th graders, and right now they are learning to model in 3ds Max. So it's now that they've had a year of coding and a year of computer programming, they are now learning to take, now that they know how to think like engineers, we're now training them to visualize like engineers. So they are now taking concepts and visualizing them. Let's tune in right now. So they're essentially working in three views. They're in four views. They're working in what's called a perspective view, a front view, a top view, and a left view, which lets them see the object from different perspectives. And they call this geospatial design because they're learning to create in 3D space. Right now, this particular students, they're designing a pencil using 3D software, and they're learning that the world around them is nothing more than a collection of shapes. That's all it is, a collection of shapes. And they're learning that to create this pencil, let's see here. Sydney, how many shapes are you using to create that pencil? How many different shapes?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 8.
8 different shapes?
Yeah, about 8.
All right, and see, folks, this is geometry. This is math too, so we're hiding the broccoli and the mashed potatoes. We're not telling them that they're learning math too, we're just simply telling them that they're learning 3D design.
Wow.
I made a pencil. Mr. L. For sure the metal part of the pencil should be changed to size to 6.
The size?
Why do we have to make it hexagonal?
You don't. You can make it a pentagon. You can make it a septagon.
The entire tip of my pencil is black, and I feel like it shouldn't be.
The second radius, you need to make it smaller, so it'll slide inside. Did you make a copy? Or do you have 2 cones or just one? Okay, change it. Make it different.
So Math 1's a big component of high school. They'll be taking Math 1 this year as 10th graders, and we're already exposing them to it by allowing them to visualize these concepts using 3D software. Let's take a look at what's going on up here on the board. There it is.
This is not rocket science. If it's rocket science, I could do it. It's really not.
So you see the X, Y, and Z coordinates in the perspective view here. So he's able to move this object using the X, Y, and Z axis. And that's Nicholas right here.
He's got it all rendered out here.
All right, let's see what Connor's got here. Connor's a soccer player. Let's see what we got here. All right, so Connor, take us back into your design view there and explain this to us.
Okay. Well, this has 7. It has 7 items. So you have the eraser, the 2 little bumps on the metal piece, the actual metal piece itself, the wood part, the tip, and then the graphite. So you kind of have to put all these in a scale. So you'd have to do the eraser and then make the metal part and then put the taluses on, which are these little ring things that I have selected right here.
Now show us how you actually moved those objects. How are you able to move those objects and construct this pencil?
Well, if you want to make the cone, you couldn't make it right here, so you'd have to put it right at the edge, so right where my pointer is. and then you would have to rotate it so that it would be in front. If you try to do it in here, it would just be inside the wood.
Ah, gotcha.
We're actually gonna do
So you'd have to do that, and then this tool right here. These are two different tools. There's this one, and then there's this one. This one just selects an object. This one lets you select and move it. So if you do this one, then you can use these arrows to move it around. So if I want to move this way,
Okay, got it. Okay.
and if I want to rotate it, you
Yeah,
click
rotate
this
that.
command. And so if you want to make sure it's precise and you don't want to mess up and not be able to get it back, all you have to do is click this and it's angle snap. So you can just do that, and you can rotate it how many degrees you want, and then you can just set it back to,
So you learned all this in one day. Is this the first time you ever used this program?
it is.
All right, so how do you feel about it? How's it going today?
It's going good. It's definitely easier to work with than Cubify and Unity.
Yeah, it's
I would
definitely a lot easier.
I would say, because
Wow,
you get
now
to do them.
Cubify, that's interesting. Cubify costs $50 and it's a cheaply made program. This program here is thousands of dollars, and you find the $1,000 software easier to work than the cheap $50 software?
Yes. Most of it is because you can have all of the views in the same window. So you're not just making an object and you have to look at every single perspective and be like, oh, did I get this right?
Okay.
Is this right? So you can just set it all in one, and it's quicker.
It's just easier to visualize.
It's more efficient.
All right, cool beans. Thanks, guys.
My pencil's broken. Can I sharpen it?
Where'd you get your pencil sharpener? What is this great pencil? I'm so
No, I just had to disconnect you for just a second. You're good. All right, so making my way around.
I think you did it wrong.
Folks,
I
they're
just
learning
made it cone.
Math 2. This is Math 2 geometry. Students are learning that right now here at AGORA. So let's take a second to talk to Kiana. Kiana,
Kiana has to go to the bathroom.
Kiana, where you going?
Has to go to the bathroom.
Kiana, you gotta talk to me. Kiana, where are you going? All right.
Go to the bathroom.
Okay, I'm gonna go over here to the next cohort. All right, so now we're over here with the 9th grade cohort, and they're learning coding. So let's see what's going on here live.
This kid's down here working on Blender.
Hey, Mr. Blazo.
Yes, sir.
So tell us about what's going on today.
Okay, well today we've been teaching these kids how to develop ratios with programming and it's really just math 1 skills. So they actually had to pick a recipe, have the user input how many cookies they wanted, and have it scale the recipe appropriately, all using Python. So they had to code it out, get the ratios, multiply all the ingredients, and have to report it back. Then they had to have the program ask, okay, if you only have so much of one of the ingredients, it's a rate limiting step. It's kind of a chemistry type question almost. It has to report back, you can make this many cookies with those ingredients, and this is how many of the other ingredients you need to make the recipe. And they're all doing it in totally different ways. Some are using loops, other kids making functions, and then they're posting the code up on Schoology so we can kind of all see how we all did it differently.
Wow. Excellent, excellent. All right, we're going to make our way around this room, see what's going on. All right, so which one are you working on?
I'm doing hazelnut chocolate cookie dinner. I'm doing hazelnut chocolate cookies.
And tell us about this code we're looking at here.
So basically, this entire recipe is based off of this 3-ingredient recipe, and it makes 20 cookies in total. So what I did, I took each of the ingredients, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of Nutella, 1 large egg, and divided it by 20 since it made 20 cookies, and said, okay, so this times the number of cookies they want equals how many cups of this thing or eggs they need. And these are just little notes I'm making.
All right, and when we run it, what happens?
So let's say I wanted to make 20 cookies.
Okay.
So it asks me, put it in, and bam, it gives me all the
How
stuff
much
I
of
need.
everything you need to make it work.
Yep.
Excellent.
Let's
Excellent.
say I wanted to make 500 cookies, because that's exactly how much I would make on a normal basis. This is how many cookies, how many supplies I would need for the whole thing.
Wow, so you're solving real world problems using
yeah.
code. All right, excellent. Folks, that's what we want. This is the purpose of the Common Core, to teach kids to think in terms of real world. And that's what they're learning here at AGORA. Everything's a word problem. Everything's a real world problem that they have to serve, that they have to solve. And they have to use it using code, because coding is going to give them those soft skills they need to be problem solvers. All right, so let's keep going.
You can put INT around whatever else you have, and it will reduce it to a whole number. It serves as an integer. So like, for instance, hold on.
So like you just put INT after each and every one.
Here, hold on.
So now we
Can you
have
see these down here?
real
See how
world
it says
problem
four?
solving
They're
going
solid
on.
numbers, they're whole numbers.
So now this is a
Yeah,
session where
INT.
the mentor
Like
is
right here.
actually coaching the students.
The INT, and put whatever you're putting as a number within the parentheses. And just put it inside the string.
Now, folks, this is something that always seems to happen. We have a couple of students that get it right off the bat, and then all of a sudden they become leaders in the classrooms. Watch this.
And then what do you do with that after? Do you divide it or you multiply that fraction by everything? You multiply the fraction.
Yeah. Okay. So whatever the ratio between that original ingredient and whatever they're implementing, you'll just have to divide every single one of the ingredients with that ratio, and then the results will be however many.
I know you finished up early.
Okay. Basically, you know how you did the first one, and now you did the first one.
Coding, once again, we're teaching them how to think. And you know, it's a different way of thinking for some people, because some people are deeply logical thinkers, and they catch on to coding just like that. But then you have students that are not deeply logical thinking, so it's a little bit of a challenge for them. But as you can see, eventually they all get it. And this is just day one, folks. Just think where they're going to be after they've had 64 hours of this type of training.
Yeah, you being crazy, but
You wanted it to. What do you amount of cookies they want? But you're not really.
All right, we're back. How's it going?
good.
Pretty good. So what are you working on?
Coding with music.
Coding with music. Now tell me about that. How do you code with music?
Just make 6 cookies.
It's basically taking all the concepts from coding and making music. So all the commands and stuff, you have to run that through or you have to run the music through the commands.
Right. So have you made something like
Nope.
anything yet that we could listen to? All right, we're gonna swing back around. All right, we want to hear something. All right.
Get the ratio. Does that make sense? So you got to make sure that you use this to make a ratio, and then you can use that to scale all the other ingredients. Because it's just multiplication from there. First, you got to build that ratio. Does that make sense?
So folks, there you have it. You know, this is AGORA. This is a typical AGORA Saturday. We got students that are learning coding. We got one cohort of students learning coding. We've got another cohort of students over there learning 3D design. And we've got another cohort of students that have learned both and are combining it to solve problems in real world scenarios. Now, real quick, let's talk about this for a second. Can you imagine this going on in your school? Can you imagine this going on in your community? So ask yourself, how can I get AGORA in my community? Well, what you do is you go to my website, jeffepps.com, JEFFEPPS.com, click on the contact link and message me, okay? Let's get the conversation started, because where I see AGORA going, can you imagine in some of our low-performing schools this kind of instruction going on in our low-performing schools, getting our students that we know need the help, getting them the help that they need, where they learn coding so that they understand basic mathematics concepts, because that's how we're going to raise the bar. That's how we're going to move the needle. We are going to have to reach those level 1s and level 2s to get them up to speed. And this can happen, because this is where I see AGORA going back into our high schools, going down into our middle schools and our elementary schools, and getting these kids the help that they need. So if you think that AGORA could be something that could help your district, I want you to go to jeffepps.com, message me, tell me about it. Let's make it happen, because AGORA is here to stay. Okay, it solves the major problem we have in this country. We need more engineers, and we have to start as early as possible. And in order to become an engineer, the first thing you have to do is think like an engineer, and that can happen here at AGORA. Now, we're going to get back together on November 12th. You'll be able to follow what these kids are doing even more. Until then, this is Jeff Epps. I want you to keep stirring things up. Thanks for listening today.